So here we have a real quick comparison on three different 40 Smith & Wesson jacketed hollow point rounds. I consider all these range ammo. However, the NOSLER match grade, some people might consider it a step above. I really have good experience with S&B. These are good rounds. They're always extremely clean brass, and I have nothing but the best experience with them at the range. And you see the S&B has the largest initial cavity here, and then they have what steps down into like a second channel, which I imagine helps with expansion. You don't see that on the PMC, which has a slightly smaller cavity and far less deep, a little more consistent in the grooves and the channeling for the like flare or expansion. What you see a lot on the S&B rounds is some of them seem to go way farther down than the other ones do. And I'm really not sure what like any standard is for how these are cut and how far down. And a lot of these jacketed hollow points I see seem to like appear like they're just cut by hand by a jigsaw by some kid in a factory. You step down to the NOSLER, it's actually the smallest of the three as far as initial size here. You do have some copper flakes throughout there, and it does kind of follow the same shape as the S&B does, where it tapers down and then it opens back up into like a second cavity. And I imagine that does better things for expansion than just the small standard hollow point shape you have here. They seem to be a little more consistent as far as the cuts in depth, but the angles are just kind of all over the place. So none of these really are extreme precision machined rounds. I really like S&B. I get them in good prices around me. The brass is always super clean. When I'm shooting jacketed hollow points at the range, I would definitely run these over like Herters or Blazer. Herters is basically just reboxed Smith & Wesson, or Winchester white box, about the same rounds. But for range ammo, it doesn't really matter. Just wanted to show for people interested the slight differences in these three options.